Jena's Korean mission is to provide education and cultural exchange for Indian youth. We invite our Indian friends to love and support us. Thank you. I love you.
Hello, I'm Jena, a Korean-based YouTuber who creates content on India. These days, there are a lot of issues regarding racism in Korea. So, as a Korean who loves India and learns Indian culture, I prepared this video to tell the reality about this phenomenon. I think South Korea and India didn't know each other this much until just a few years ago. However, as you all know, Korean culture, including K-drama and K-pop, became famous all over the world. And many overseas people and even Indians came into contact with Korean country and Korean culture. I think our cultural exchange just began. Nevertheless, the fact I feel that Korean people do not know as much about India as India knows about Korea. But before that, let me briefly explain the characteristic of Korean society. The reason I explain this is because it will help you understand why Koreans does not easily accept people of other races. First, Korea is one of the most unified countries in Asia. Geographically, Korea is a very small country compared to India. And it is a single ethnic group that speaks only one language, Korean. So, unlike India, which has a relatively large number of diverse cultures and religions and 22 official languages, Korea is a country with truly unified characteristics. Korea needs to get better at accepting and understanding families that come from marrying people from other countries like the United States, France, the Philippines, Vietnam, and India. Why is this a concern in educated and developed Korea like that? Because Koreans are still unfamiliar with races that look different from us. In Korea, everyone speaks the same language, shares the same culture, and the same history. But in fact, those are you living in India have been experiencing a variety of cultures, races, religions, and languages since their birth. So I think Indians have a much better understanding of other cultures and societies than Koreans do. I think these experiences from a young age really have a huge impact on our mindset. Because of this, I think Koreans still lack experience with people with skin colors and colors different from ours. The majority of Koreans are not racist. In other words, Koreans are still very unfamiliar with having a different appearance or cultures than myself. So, Koreans feel like they must always be mindful of how other Koreans see them in similar situations. This is because we are a country in a small community when we can only know all of our neighbors across a small land. Korea is a very developed country, but at the same time, competition with society is very fierce in order to survive. So, it is true that this competitive society is showing negative results in many areas. It is a sad reality. It is a sad reality. I think that every country, whether developed or developing, has some societal problems and issues. In that case, Korea still needs to improve on the issue of accepting other races. This isn't something that can happen quickly. It takes longer to improve. That's obviously true. However, I think we need to have a clear picture of Korea and historical facts to understand what is going where, so we can understand each other better. Second, Korea's historical background can also be a reason. Looking at Korea's past, it has suffered many invasions from foreign powers, including Japan, China, the United States, and Russia, which are geographically neighboring countries. In order for our country to protect its sovereignty from neighboring countries in this small land, Koreans had to unite among themselves and fight as one. We had to protect our country and people. For this reason, Korean has an unfamiliar background and history in accepting other ethnic groups and cultures. I think Indians would know more about this historical, sad truth. Of course, Korea has developed a lot now. We traveled and know a lot, and there are many opportunities to come into contact with foreign cultures and foreigners. But in fact, in our daily lives, it seems that Koreans still do not have many opportunities to come into close contact with foreigners. As a result, Koreans still don't have many opportunities to experience and understand the country of India and Indian people. And we need to learn more about many aspects. In my journey of loving and exploring Indian culture over the past few years, gaining access to India and immersing myself in its rich cultural diversity has been a rewarding experience. Of course, with some challenges. Nowadays, the situation in Korea is changing. People from various countries such as Nepal, Pakistan, Vietnam, Thailand, and India coming to Korea to work or marry Koreans. So many Koreans say, okay, now we accept various ethnic groups and worry about how to live together well. There is a lot of improvement in thinking like this. However, this is something that needs to be improved over a longer period of time. Korea is a country where more than 10 million foreign tourists have visited and traveled since 2013. This means that exchanges with foreigners are becoming more and more active. So, more and more Koreans, especially the younger generation in Korea, are becoming more and more open-minded when it comes to accepting foreigners. So what you need to know clearly is that not all Koreans discriminate against the Indian people or foreigners. I want you to know that this isn't really true. In fact, Koreans still need to learn more about the country India. And I think racism exists everywhere. Even today, we can see that Koreans in other countries still experience racism due to having small eyes, short height, or having a different skin color. And it seems that this racial discrimination occurs even within one country due to difference in skin color, class, region, religion, and level of education. Racism is everywhere, and the problem is that certain people who practice such racism and bad and acting wrong, and I think they don't represent a country. You guys agree with this, right? So, if you have Indians or friends from other countries who felt uncomfortable or experienced any kind of racism in Korea because we were different, I would like to tell you that as a Korean, I'm sorry that you had to experience such a thing in Korea. However, I hope you don't criticize all Koreans as bad people because of the unpleasant experience you've had. In fact, The Korean people I know are very interested in India. They say India is a really nice country to live in. They also think of India as a country with a great potential. And they have a lot of affection for India. There are definitely a lot of Koreans support and love India. I look forward to warm and friendly relationship between India and Korea, fostering increased exchange and collaboration in various aspects in the future. Such a friendship would enable better mutual understanding. Notably, India stands out as the first country to embrace and extend a hand in friendship together Korean culture. It's really touching. It's really touching. India and Korea share a significant bond as they both gained independence from colonial rule on August 5th. Just as India broke free from British rule, Korea regained sovereignty from Japanese colonial rule on the same day in 1945. Both countries understand each other's historical pain well, having faced challenging periods. It's a shared history that strengthens their connection. Being two countries that have experienced the same pain, close cultural exchange between India and Korea have now begun. The reason why even Koreans became aware of the country India started from Bollywood movies. I started to learn about the country of India little by little from the movie that brought joy and emotion to everyone while dancing and singing happily. Just as most Indians began to understand the country Korea through Korean dramas and K-pop, Koreans also came to know about India through Indian movies and songs. But the sad thing is that Korean media doesn't seem to have given much information about India yet. I think all Koreans learn about India a little bit, and partial way is through YouTube. For this reason, Korea still needs to understand more about India in the long term. This is absolutely no excuse for Koreans to engage in racial discrimination. It is wrong to be racist anywhere. So I want to say that it is not right to make overly aggressive remarks. Bad people always existed in every country, society, and community. Also, in order for Koreans like me to better introduce India and learn more about India, we need your help and understand each other. The current challenges in attitudes towards Korea create a bit of a difficulty for people like me who have a love for India and a desire to engage positively. On the contrary, if Korea learns about India more quickly through Korean people who are friendly to India like me, Koreans will know how warm and friendly India is, where it treats its guests like a king, and how great India is with great potential. You will see how many Indian people follow the Dharma and try to live a religious life. I actually like Indian traditional clothing and the warmth of Indian people, which made me love Indian culture even more. Of course, I became interested in India by watching Bollywood movies, but I also learned about the strong will and courage of Indian women while watching the movies Gunjan Saxena and Padmavati. And I learned about Indian culture and karma through the Bahubali. I also came to understand more about it. Also, as my subscribers will know, I like various Indian attire such as the Marathi traditional costume, Nawari sari, Bengali sari, Kasabu sari, Salaru suit, and Mekhala chadoru. And by trying them on, I was able to learn more about Indian culture and history. I was also able to understand the Indian history and religion while learning Kathak or traditional Indian dance, while eating various Indian foods such as pani puri, samosa, butter chicken, biryani, paneer tikka, and badam pavu. I was able to learn about each region and culture of India, and that there are many spices and foods in India. I think sometimes it takes time to get to know a country and understand the different culture and their lifestyle. I know that many of my Indian friends like Korean culture and Korean K-pop and K-dramas just as much as I like Indian culture. What you must clearly understand is that Indians were the first to learn about Korean culture and language and welcome Korea first. And I'm really grateful for that. And I really think Koreans should understand more about India as a country. So I hope you don't think that the opinions of some negative and bad Koreans are everything. I also hope that my Indian friends who love Korean culture and welcome Koreans will not be criticized or hurt by this issue. The most important thing, of course, is to love and respect your country and culture first. As broad Indians, you must first love your culture and country. And as a Korean, I'm also grateful to have been born in Korea. And as a Korean, I must love Korea. That's the natural attitude we all have towards the country we were born in. However, let's not have any more prejudice or indiscriminate attacks on each other because of this issue. If we respect them first and become educated people, I think they also will eventually understand our sincerity. Just because something is developed doesn't mean that everyone is educated. I hope you recognize the sincerity and efforts of people who love India and Korea. I read it up on last time. It is true that in the future, more Koreans need to improve their awareness of discrimination against not only Indians but also other foreigners. I really want to say I'm sorry again for that. However, I hope that we'll wait a little longer as if it is a long-term task, so that people who love India like me can get to know more and introduce India even more. Korea and India need more exchanges in the future. And I hope that the relationship between our two countries will become even stronger and that we will get to know each other better and interact in many fields such as economy, culture, tourism, and study abroad. Let's contribute towards a strong relationship between India and Korea. I don't think all Indians hate Korea. Rather, thank you for loving Korea and Korean culture so much. So, Korea needs to quickly correct what is wrong. It's said that to be a true friend, sometimes you have to fight. I hope that this opportunity will help many Koreans once again improve their awareness of racial discrimination and become a turning point. Indian people were the first to reach out to Koreans to become friends. Thank you so much again for that. For better relations and understanding between our two countries in the future, we should stand together. Rather than fighting, criticizing, and boycotting each other, I ask that we recognize that there are Koreans like me and be more accepting and understanding. Once again, I'm sorry to Indians and people who have experienced any kind of racial discrimination or had a bad experience in Korea. Lastly, as a Korean YouTuber who loves India, I will work harder to better introduce and understand India to make Koreans know more about India. I hope that India and Korea will use this opportunity to become even closer friends for better future. India, thank you for extending your hand of love first. 그리고 좀 더 많은 한국 사람들이 인도에 대해서 많이 알아가기를 바라겠습니다. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching my video today. Bye.